my home. Just a little bit of time, love, baby, and the work keeps growing stronger. No, you never replace this island. Kauai is where I belong, yeah. Just a little bit of time, love, baby, got you surfing much longer, baby. Once you leave, you know you'll always come back. Kauai is where we are from, whoa.
Welcome to the Outer Island Podcast, brought to you by Thomas Surf Club Kauai. We're so excited to have Seabass with us today. He's not only a Kauai surfing legend, but he was a person on the CT tour, the World Tour, the World Championship Tour. He also has a little baby girl and a wonderful wife. And welcome to the show, Sebastian Zietz.
Thanks for having me, Jae.
Yeah, no problem.
Good to be here, bro.
So this is probably the most time you've spent at home in a while. What have you been up to?
Just enjoying home, surfing a lot. Probably in the past, 15 years I've been on the road, probably straight. Probably been home at the most 4 months out of the year, maybe. So sometimes I'm gone all summer, which I'm starting to realize is kind of nice because we're just surfing a nini every day and small waves. But it's been super fun. Last year on tour, I had my baby beginning of the year in April, and just kind of really was missing, the family and just having a mom be home and not being able to help her and missing all those first steps of the baby was hard. So it's been pretty much best case scenario for me is take a year off and get to spend this first year with my daughter, and she's so classic. Every day she's doing new stuff and super daddy's girl. So I'm sure if I was traveling a lot, she'd be a little bit more shy around me. So it's been really nice. Been surfing a lot and living it in paradise.
Yeah, how is it being a dad?
Being a dad, it's in the beginning is gnarly because there's no there's books and stuff, but there's no instruction manual. So you kind of you hit. First of all, your wife gives birth, and that's the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life. And then you're in the hospital for a day, and they're kind of coaching you through what to do. But then you go home, and it's just all of a sudden you have another person, and it's your responsibility to keep it alive. And in the beginning, it's really gnarly because you don't know if you're doing things right, and you don't know the baby's cues, what's wrong with it. And it's almost the baby doesn't get easier, just you get better at knowing what the baby wants, reading those little signs of either it's diaper rash, or it's hungry, or it's tired, or it's just bored and wants stimulation, so you just kind of evolve as a person and get better at reading the baby's signs. And it gets better as time goes on. The first few months is really tough because they're kind of just this. They don't really look at you or anything or give you any gratitude of I'm rocking you in the middle of the night and you still are just this, won't even lock eyes with me. So once after a few months, when they start locking eyes and they start smiling and then they start laughing, it's all worth it.
Yeah, I saw some of your posts on Instagram of you swinging around your baby with this little cardboard cutout of a surfboard. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, trying to teach her young, get her out. I've got her on the boogie board and put her on the surfboard sometimes, but I feel safer with the boogie board because I got two hands on her, wear the fins, and she's totally fine. But been doing that since she was really young, so she's already super comfortable with the water and trying not to scare her,
Yeah. Your surfing is still championship tour level. Do you ever think about putting the jersey back on and trying to give it another run?
I definitely was thinking about, definitely after I fell off tour last year before last. So last year I fell off tour, and I'd have to go back on the QS and get the QS grind going. And my last year on tour, I was kind of wasn't fully into it because I had a newborn baby and I wanted to be home most of the time I was on the road. Where in the past, it was you wanted to be there. You wanted to be on tour, and you definitely weren't as much as I miss home, I always knew that Kauai would be there. But when you have a kid and you're missing time with your kid, it's a totally different thing. So that last year on tour, I kind of just didn't really care and was kind of like, you know what, if I get kicked off tour, I'll be on the QS and I'll have way more time at home. So that was like the theory there. But then after falling off and kind of the whole surf industry going through this weird funk right now and losing like Oakley for apparel and no one picking me back up, it's kind of, you realize like looking at other job options, and then you get real scared after like living a real comfortable lifestyle just from surfing and realizing like, oh man, I'm living it up, you know. And definitely I think now where the way it is, it's like you have to be on tour if you're gonna be making good money in the surf industry. And you know, I'll be happy no matter what, but I just want to, you know, set myself up enough where Millie can have the opportunities where I've had, like take her on trips, you know, go to Disney World or whatever if we want. And so I think I'm gonna give it one more good year on the QS, and if it doesn't hit, that's fine. I'll be, you know, we'll be fine. I'm happy either way, and that's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, what events do you think you would do to try and qualify?
I don't know. It's going to be tough to see because next year they're going to do the 6 months. It's going to be 6 months QS and 6 months CT. So that's nice, but I don't know if the 6 months in the beginning is going to be the CT and then it's going to be the QS or vice versa. So just got to look at the schedule when it comes out, and of course you got to do all the primes. But the fact that it's a 6 month period makes it way better. For at least I'll have 6 months at home, unless it's 6 months on the QS and I qualify and then 6 months on the CT. That would be pretty rough for me. But yeah, I just do all the primes and do a few 6 stars and, you know, kind of see where you're at as it goes. It's important to kind of heavy load it in the beginning, you know, because that gets your seat up, and then, you know, you can feel more comfortable going into the back half of the year.
Do you think they're still going to run like the Triple Crown and those contests, like the really big ones?
This year, I'm not sure. It's because I don't think it would be fair, because the way it is right now, surfing is such an international thing, you know, and with all these different countries being in different like stages of the COVID crisis, like, I don't know, it's like I heard that we're not going to be able to go to Europe, and like it's going to be hard for other people to come to Hawaii, and it'll be dangerous, you know, for people to travel. And I think everyone kind of just wants to stay put in their own kind of areas right now and let this thing play out. So I don't see anything happening the rest of this year. Hopefully they do some kind of specialty events, because I really like to watch some surfing, you know. Or, you know, going on a trip would be nice, but yeah, I think for the safety aspect, I don't think it's going to happen this year. Yeah. Yeah.
That, because you have a pretty good history with the Triple Crown. You're a Triple Crown champ.
Yeah, I won it once, but I haven't had much luck since then. But yeah, that year it was just, everything was clicking, and yeah, it just felt great. I was young.
I was watching, I think, like the highlights of that event, those events that you did really good in. You got like 3rd at Sunset, and you won Haleiwa.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick.
Yeah, remember winning. I won every heat in Haleiwa, like on the way to the final, because 1st and 2nd advance. And there were some gnarly heats. You know, I had a heat with Sonny and Freddie P were in my heat, and I had gotten 2 good scores, and this was before priority, so Sonny was just like mad dogging the peak super hard, and I got 2 good waves, kind of like after Sonny had like got the bomb. I got waves after him and got 2 good waves, so I was in the lead, and Freddie P was trying to re-qualify for the tour, and he had a good seat on the QS, and I don't think Sonny was in that good a position, but of course he's not gonna like lay down. But Freddie P was like battling Sonny for the spot, you know, and Sonny was just like wasn't letting him have it, and then they're just yelling at each other, and Freddie P was like, "I'm not gonna let you take it from me, Sonny." It was pretty sick because Sonny's a really intimidating guy, and Freddie P, they grew up together and stuff, so it was like, "No, Uncle, I'm standing up to you this time," and I'm fighting for his livelihood pretty much. So
yeah,
it was cool to see, and I had John in the final, and all the Kauai boys came down to cheer me on, and it seemed like every time I got a wave, they were like cheering super hard, and then John, they were also cheering, but they were like the cheers weren't as loud. And I think John was kind of rattled after that, like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is my spot. But it was just cool to see everyone so stoked for me, and won Haleiwa and qualified for the tour in the same event, and then kind of kept the roll going, got a third in Sunset, and then I made the quarters in pipe, and I had Kelly in the quarters, and he was just so gnarly, because that was the year he was challenging Mick for the title, and I've never seen someone just battle so hard. It was nuts.
Speaking of the Triple Crown, lots of people say it's the next best thing from a world title, and you did it. Congratulations.
I think it's pretty far away from a world title, but I guess I'll take it. I was super stoked in rhythm, so I was super happy to have that, and huge accomplishment in my life, and it's probably my biggest accomplishment besides being a dad. Nothing compares to that.
Yeah. How did winning the Triple Crown change your life, do you think?
It was crazy after that. It was because that boosted me onto the tour, and then I got on tour, and I kind of came out of nowhere before that. I wasn't really on the radar, just little things here and there, and so that kind of boosted me up, and all the board guys were giving me boards, and I had a little bit of a couple chips to bargain for contracts and stuff. So it definitely changed my life huge, and then of course launched me onto the tour, and then I was on tour for 7 years. So that was that for pretty much set me up for the next 7 years of my life, was just from that one Triple Crown. Because I was coming into it, I was in 30th on the QS, and I think it was top 10. Oh no, that was the year it was the midway cutoff. So it was 3 guys qualified that year, I think. It was me, Felipe, and Nat Young qualified, because it was this weird thing where it wasn't nowadays you got the 10 spots where guys get on. Back then it was the one world rating where you had to finish into the CT one world spots, which was super hard to do, and luckily I got a ton of points during the Triple Crown and boosted me up in there. So you had some magical heats, and you had some heartbreakers too. Do you ever think back to your heats? Yeah, definitely. One that really sticks out is I had a heat at Lowers with Michelle Perez, and I was having a really good heat. I had a couple 8s, I think, or something. Michelle had a 7 and nothing as a backup score, so I obviously won the heat. And so then the heat was about to end. I had priority, and I could hear them counting down, but I couldn't really, because I was paddling super hard for this wave, because I kind of gave them a little bit of room. Little lesson to you kids: don't give them an inch. So then I gave him a little room, and he was trying to go on this little wave, and he probably wouldn't have got the score on it anyways, no matter what he did. He needed a 9 or something. But I paddled, and I was so far out that I had trouble catching the wave, and he stood up, and then the hooter blew, and then I stood up. And there's this weird rule where it's once the hooter blows, the priority is it doesn't matter. So when I stood up, it was just me dropping in on him, and they took away my second score, and I lost the heat.
What?
Yeah, and I was baffled. I was because I came in, I was like, yeah, surfed a good heat, like feeling the rhythm, like let's go, let's keep this going. And then yeah, they took that away from me, and I lost the heat, and I was just tripping. But at the end of the day, it's like at least I put on a good performance. You know, it's like he knows who won that heat without the technicality.
Watching you surf contests, you always look like so happy. Is there some people that are just like not having fun?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are not having fun. Especially I feel like on the QS, where I was competing on the QS for like 6 years. And everyone's kind of like broke, you know? We're all like not making good money, and everyone stays together because it's cheaper if you pile like 6 guys into one house, you know? So it was super fun like that, and all like good vibes and stuff. And then when I got on the CT, I realized like everyone's making really good money, and they had their like little, like no one stayed together, and it was like their little crews, and it was really like segregated. And I felt like that was kind of a weird thing, and everyone was super serious, as to where I felt like I did my best surfing when I was happy, you know, and so I just tried to act like I wasn't in a heat, because you get those pre-heat jitters going, and your legs get all jello, and you don't surf how you normally would surf. So I just trying to stay happy, and you know, I even talked to the guys if they weren't looking too serious, you know, heats with Mick and guys, they'd be like real serious, or you wouldn't even like say hi to them. But then like other heats, like Kelly's always super talkative, and people think it's mind games, but if Kelly Slater's gonna talk to you, what are you gonna do? Shun him, you know? It's like, what? You're Kelly Slater. So yeah, I had fun with it. I had so much fun on tour, and hopefully I can get back on there.
I was on YouTube, and I saw an edit of you and some of the guys from over here, like Sammy Martin and Dylan Gooddale and all those guys, and you took them to the Mentawais.
Yeah.
How was that trip?
Oh, it was epic. The Kauai Boy Mentawai trip was so fun. We got pumping waves. Like first day we showed up to HT's, was like doing the like where it caps on the second reef and like foam balls in, and everyone was getting piped the whole trip. We were a pretty gnarly crew. Like if our boat showed up, the other guys were like, oh shit, you know, like these freaking guys, because we were pretty like ferocious in the lineup. It's almost like a bro to Brazilians. But yeah, we had a super fun first day at HT's, and it was funny. Hawaiian Sam, we call him Sam Martin. We had a jet ski, and he like kind of jet skied over. The local guys come out in their canoes and pedal their, little wooden carvings to you and stuff. And Sam kind of came by, and like the jet ski kind of shook the guy and almost like made him lose his stuff, and he started like yelling at Sam. And then Sam like almost sprayed him with the jet ski after that, kind of all like moked out. I was like, and we were all like, oh shit. And then like all the Indos like turned on us. There was like 3 other canoes came out, and they're all like yelling at us like, we're not messing with you, you leave now, like snapping. And Sam's all like puffed up like, what? And like we're all like trying to back Sam down. We're like, Sam, this whole village is gonna like kill us right now if you like going back down. So Sam finally like realized like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Like when he was like, I can take this, like he's like telling us like, I can take this guy. It's like, of course. The guy's like tiny, tiny little Indo guy, and like, of course you can take him, but brah, it's not like the whole village is gonna be after us. But it was pretty funny, and then we ended up like taking the boat way down south and scoring some waves that like aren't that well known down there, and it was just our boat there, which was epic. It can be kind of crowded down there sometimes, but yeah, everyone was ripping. Gab Gillette was flaring up for sure. Galtez, Tyler Newts, Teva, Kelly Waiter, Sequoia.
Teva had such a gnarly, like, over the falls wipeout, it looked like.
Yeah. Where at?
I don't know where it was.
I know Sequoia had the last wave of the section And he tried to do like a double grab air. He was like feeling the pressure, I think, of everyone and like trying to be air guy. But he got pounded. But it was fun. No one got hurt. And I had to leave early to go to a contest. But I think the waves weren't that great after that. But we definitely got some fun ones.
Yeah, that's so sick.
Yeah.
Did you ever have like beef with anybody on tour?
Beef with anyone on tour? No, not really. Michael Rodriguez tried to drop in on me one time, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Because he had that trip with Tanner Hendrickson, and Tanner's my friend, so I was like, "What? You want to start it with me now?" And he's like, "Oh, you take every wave," like trying to say that I was a snake when he's like the gnarliest snake. So I was like, get real. But I never held a grudge, you know. You don't want to that would ruin it for you, you know, if you had to travel around and see someone you didn't like, you know. So I tried to stay friends with everyone, even though they were such a bad crowd to like surf with. It's like 36 of the worst snakes in the world, you know. Just like paddling around each other, and like, you know, definitely the older guys like Parco and Mick and them, like they think they have the ultimate priority, which I think they do, you know. I can show like respect to that. And then I don't know, it was pretty tough. Like some of the free surfs, I was like, frick these guys. But at the end of the day, just, you know, no matter what happens, like priority or interferences, whatever, just leave it in the water, shake hands, everyone's friends. Yeah.
Yeah. The sunset event during the Triple Crown seems so stressful, like with contracts on the line and making the tour. What's the vibe like around that contest, around that event?
It's crazy because there's 10,000 points on the line, and when there's that many, like if you win, it's 10,000 points. So pretty much it's like 20,000 is the cutoff. So anyone who's accumulated 10,000 points before that on the QS, which is like sometimes the guy up to like freaking 40th place can, you know, if he wins, can jump into the qualifying position. So everyone thinks they have a chance, you know. There's that many guys like think they have a chance, and there's the CT guys that are fighting for their like reseed, like they can get back into the top, you know. So all the pressure comes down to sunset. And it's funny because when you're on the North Shore, like it's not the most glamorous wave, you know. It's like it can be. It's like an amazing wave, but it's not like everyone's surfing pipe or everyone's surfing, you know, V-Land or Rockies, you know, like trying to do airs and get their clips and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like those guys that really put in their time at sunset because it's such a tricky wave, and you gotta like have your lineup and know like what's going on. And like Jack Robbo, he just like was looking for the barrel, which is like it's almost its own little part at sunset. It's like this very end little knuckle that like you can get barreled on, and barrels score like super high in that event, you know. So it's definitely a wave that you gotta like learn and know, and it's probably the first wave that I ever like liked riding a bigger board because it's so big and slopey, and you have so much speed that you need that big board to like draw those big lines and stuff. You really got to be patient with your surfing, and really like dialed in my bigger boards. But it was definitely gnarly this year with the whole Zeke Lau thing. Did you see that?
I don't know if I did.
So it was pretty controversial. It was like Zeke was in the final, Jack Robbo was in the final. They both needed to win to qualify for the tour. And Zeke got super barreled, was coming out of the barrel like trying to doggy door, a crazy one, and Jack bailed his board, and Zeke hit his board and fell. And you see Jack's board, Zeke almost ran it completely over because he was coming, you know, and he's like a freaking boar. So it was super gnarly. Zeke was like, how is that not an interference? And like they didn't score his wave. Like it would have been like a 9, you know, if he would have made it, but he didn't because Jack bailed his board right there. And then Jack would have got an interference and he wouldn't have won. So it was like, it was huge. I was kind of tripping. I kind of thought it should have been an interference, even though I don't think Jack purposely threw his board in his way. he was catching this bomb barrel on his head and like just bailed. But still, you mess the other guy up, even if it wasn't intentional. Still, it was like, it's gnarly.
I mean, a paddling interference is a thing.
Yeah, I know.
So
you could have thrown your board that way.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, he's a good enough surfer to know like that Zeke was probably gonna make that wave and had a doggy door right where he was, and just to like throw your board that way or just duck dive and take it on the head or paddle, you know, into the impact zone, which is scary, but I don't know. It was gnarly.
Whatever it was gnarly.
Yeah.
In 2016, you won Margaret River as an injury replacement. Who was in your corner through that event?
So I had my coach, Tommy Witz. He's pretty much been my coach for 10 years or something, you know, just because I always was the kind of contest surfer where I caught too many waves. I just froth out, and you've surfed with me. I catch way too many like little junk waves. So he was just, and he as a pro was always the super patient, you know, it only takes 2 waves to win, and if you're on the best waves, your chances go up like way higher, you know. And there's also like the priority tactics, and there's so much to it, and so he was coaching me, and it was a really close final. Like watching it back, it definitely could have gone either way, you know. Julian could have definitely won that heat, but you know, the way the judges saw it, I ended up winning. So I was super stoked, you know. That's like huge to be able to win a CT, and you know, against all those guys, and definitely being a wild card, I knew the pressure was on because I was like the third string. I was like, there was 2 guys that were in before me for injuries, and then I was the third one. So they had the automatic seed in, and I was the third guy out, which means I was like at their discretion. So it was like they could have put like Dane Reynolds in a comp, you know, instead of me, because they could put whoever they want, extend the wild card to them. But after they put me in snapper, because I texted KP. I was like, KP, yo, I'm here. I'm on the Gold Coast. Like, if you want to like put me in the comp, I know a lot of guys are injured right now. And he put me in, and I ended up beating Mick in round 3. So they're like, oh, well, Seabass beat Mick, so we'll give him the injury seed into Bells. And then I blew it at Bells. I like lost like round 3 or something. And then I was like, oh crud, they're gonna like, you know, they're not going to let me into the next one. And then they somehow were like, okay, we'll let you surf Margaret River. But you could tell, like, if I did bad in that one, I was gone. I ended up winning, and they pretty much were just like, we got to give you a seed for the rest of the year because you won an event. And I was like, jumped up so high that I was like second in the rating. So they were like, okay, we're going to give you the seed. And then I ended up re-qualifying that year and getting on for a couple more years. So it extended my career a little bit.
Who were you a replacement for?
I think it was Alejo Maniz at the time, because there was Owen was out, and it was Owen had the head injury, and John? Yeah. There were 2 guys that were really hurt. I think it was Owen and John. John had his knee.
Yeah.
I forget. It was for long time. Oh, it was Bede.
Bede?
Yeah, Bede broke his hip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Bede broke his hip at Pipe, and then he was out, and Owen also had his head injury at Pipe. So Pipe's gnarly.
Proving ground for a reason.
Yeah.
So now when you go back to Western Oz, do the locals over there treat you with aloha?
Yeah, I feel welcome there. You know, I've made a few buddies over there, and it's definitely a small surf community, and I feel like because it's so sharky, they all kind of surf together, so kind of started showing up at their spots, and the box is like, you know, like there's definitely gnarlier waves, but the box is kind of like a pretty gnarly wave, and I was definitely putting in my time out there, so got to know a few of the, you know, the bodyboarders, kind of a couple of bodyboarders that rule out there. I got to know a few of them, and I feel like it's like almost like Kauai in a way. It's like this hidden little gem, you know. It's like this little area. It's got like a ton of really good waves, and they kind of keep it real quiet. They're like super like mellow, and so it's a special place for sure.
How's that 10 you got at Northpoint? That one that had Peter Mel sounding like a chicken.
Little schoolgirl.
Yeah. How was that wave? How was it getting that wave in a contest?
It was pretty sick. I was like, it was really weird, Northpoint. I've surfed pumping Northpoint before, and it's like an amazing wave where it barrels on the outside, but it's kind of like this big chunky kind of barrel, and then on the inside it like doubles up and does this like, I don't know, it does this like crazy bend thing. So it wasn't like that. It was like on the smaller side, so there was waves kind of all in between everywhere, and a lot of guys that day were making heats with like a 8-point heat total, you know, because maybe they got a good one and got barreled, and then a lot of guys trying to get barreled, and the wave's so fast, if you're not getting barreled, then I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, that was like kind of near the end of the heat, and I had noticed that we were kind of blowing it. It was me, Ethan Ewing, and Philippe, and I was like seeing waves like barreling, and then we were taking off and like getting barreled on the end. So I finally had priority, and I was like, frick this, I'm just going to paddle up. Even though they kind of sat further down a little bit, I was like, I'm going up the top. So I just kept paddling, and sure enough, this wave came. I was just like, I'm just going to put myself deep. So put myself super deep and dropped in, gave it a couple pumps, and then knew that the foam ball was going to hit me. So I just like got tight, and then the foam ball hit me, and I spit, and I was going like hyper speed. And then there's a big foam ball in front of me, where I couldn't tell what was on the other side. You know, it's like you're just running into white water, and you just hold your line and hope for the best. So I was feeling like I was coming through that, and then when I finally popped through that, I realized that it kind of dragged me low, and I was like almost gonna get clipped, and I just like moved a little bit back up, and then had like another little section. It got really small at the end. I was like, it's gonna pinch me, and then I squeezed out. I was stoked.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Be the best barrel of my life. Definitely.
Nah, you'll get better ones. It'll just be here and no one will film them.
And by asking my Kauai guest this question, do you have any good pig or centipede stories?
Centipedes. I've been pretty lucky. Been dodging the centipedes, you know. I'm terrified of them, so definitely like have my eye out for them. But no, I haven't. I don't think I've ever been bit unless I was sleeping, and it's either a spider or a centipede. I don't know which one, but I don't know many poisonous spiders, and I definitely have been bit by one, but don't think that I got any good ones.
Yeah. How about pig stories? No, we got a lot of boars over here.
I'm not a hunter. I have a good Andy story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to hear that one?
Yeah. Oh.
So I was surfing pine trees one day, and it was like firing retros, and this is when Andy was like the man, or Andy was always the man, but this is like his peak. You know, he is like right in the middle of his world title run, and so it was just me and Alex Smith out, and we were like I was like 14. And the waves are firing, we're just getting barrel after barrel, and he paddles out, and he just starts burning us, you know? He's just like dropping in on every wave, like ripping super hard, but like just like ruthlessly snaking and burning me. So it must have been like the 5th time that he burned me, and I just paddled in, and he dropped in, and he faded, and he like almost bumped rails on me, and I just jumped off my board, and I was all, frick you, not frick, but the other word. I was like, F you, and then as soon as I hit the water, I knew I messed up, because Andy was, he didn't take no BS. He was a gnarly freaking guy.
Yeah.
So I watch, he rips the whole wave, and he's like, kicks out, and he's way far away, and he's already screaming at me. What'd you say, you little freaking punk? Oh, I'm gonna freaking get you. Paddling as hard as he could up to me. He paddles up to me, he cranks up to like slap me or punch me or something, and I just lift my board up. I'm like, holy crap. And then he's like, oh, you're so lucky, go in. So I go in, and like the next day is the Irons Brothers contest. It was the very first one they ever had.
Yeah.
So I ended up like winning I won one of the divisions, right? And I hadn't seen him like all day. I was like hiding from him. I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And like, so right there, I have to go get a trophy from him. And it's like, you know, it's this big scene.
Yeah.
A bunch of kids came from Outer Island, and there's a bunch of kids, and where everyone's sitting super close to, you know, the stage, and Andy and Bruce are giving them their trophies and taking pictures of them. And so I got to go get this trophy from Andy. And Reagan, I'm like, he's not going to do anything. There's like a bunch of people here. And I go to get my trophy from him, and he just hands me my trophy and goes, "Fucker!" I'm just like, I was like, holy crap. And then like, you could tell all the parents were like, what did he just say to this kid? Like, it was so heavy. I was like, that's just the way Andy was. He didn't give a crap. He was like, he was going to word me up, like, no matter, like, he didn't care who was watching. So it was pretty classic. But we became friends, like, down the line, you know.
Yeah.
I hid from him for a long time. I was like, oh, shit, Andy. And then he finally, like, came up to me and was like, I know you're not a punk. Like, it's okay. Like, let's go surf. So, yeah.
That's pretty classic. Well, I want to say a big mahalo for Seabass for joining us. I wish you and your family happiness and success forever. And would you like to give any shout-outs for anybody?
No, just my sponsors: Oakley, Almeric, Iconic, Volt Wetsuits. I love you, honey. Love you, Millie. And thanks, Kauai. Love you guys. Thanks, Jae.
Yeah, no problem. Well, mahalo for watching the Outer Island podcast brought to you by Tamba Surf Co. Kauai. We'd greatly appreciate it if you liked our videos, or if you liked some of our previous ones, if you would please like and subscribe. And we'd also appreciate it if you would follow Tamba on Instagram at Tamba Surf, myself at Jae.Wood, that's Jae.Wood, and Seabass at Seabass, yeah?
Seabass Z.
Seabass Z.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, another reminder, the Tamba shop is open, and if you're not on island, we have an online option for you. Mahalo. Shoots.
You.
I grew up on the islands. From Honolulu to Waimea, they see me driving. No matter where I travel, this is my home. My heart belongs to it, can't let it go. Just a bit of Ohana, watch you fall in love like. You can visit, I'll send you home on the next flight. Cause this belongs to us, you'll never know. It's because of Kauai I'm about to blow. Home says the house lights, I know. Cruising Kailea, the stars look so close. Feel the sun and it's burning through my ride. Tint the window so my eyes don't go blind. I'm on the right while I'm backside the left, pulling it deep inside to catch my last breath. Like I'll be gone, but I'm there to let you know that I will never leave, cause this is my home. Just a little bit of Tamba, baby, and the work keeps growing stronger. No, you'll never replace this island. Kauai is where I belong, yeah. Just a little bit of Tamba, baby, got you surfing much longer, baby. Once you leave, you know you'll always come back. Kauai is where we are from, whoa.